As some of you out there know, a certain person who thinks they know how the world works blocked me. Now that in and of itself is not a big deal. But it's interesting to note the context that he had actually called me out first. In his video where he promoted or sold, depending on how you want to see it, the book How Mao Supposedly Killed 45 Million People, and had spoken directly to me by saying there's even a guy on YouTube with Maoist in his name. I don't believe it takes any serious detective skills to figure out who he was talking about. It was me, without actually saying my name. And you called me out. And then I responded with a 1 hour and 7-minute video showing the complete lie that is Mao went around killing 45 million people in a famine. Showing not only the numbers that were completely fraudulent, but the person who wrote the book acknowledged that they fudged the numbers that existed when they didn't like what they were, actually changing official statistics to match according to what he wanted them to be, and wrote in his own numbers where none existed, so they could also say whatever it is he wanted them to, and count the same groups of people dying more than once, in a horribly dishonest manner. And what he did was just rattle off a couple lines out of a blurb from the back of the book in order to sell it, and I do believe that's what you were doing. I responded with 1 hour and 7 minutes completely debunking the entire book. But that video reply went ignored, which is shameful considering that you targeted me. Now, you don't have to respond to me. You didn't have to respond to the video. You're not obligated to. Nobody is ever actually obligated to ever do that. Now, there are a lot of people on YouTube that don't understand that concept, that they are not entitled to other people's attention. And the vast majority of them, at least in my experience, have found them to be in the right wing. You're not entitled to somebody's attention, and as such, you are not entitled to respond to this video either. But keep in mind that you did make a video to me, not the other way around. You sought out my attention, not the other way around. This is what you did. You, as I believe, you advertised a book for the American Competitive Enterprise Institute, the American Competitive what have you Institute, the people that you actually work for, although you certainly do vehemently deny it, that you're so closely intertwined with them, and that you so easily repeat all their arrogant, self-absorbed, and simplistic lines about what capitalism is, or at least what real capitalism is supposed to be. But that's exactly what Noam Chomsky put out when he described propaganda. Providing simple answers to large, complex problems. When there's an economic problem, the answer is simply freedom. And repeat that over and over again. A truly free market would take care of it. And almost always never having anything to back it up whatsoever. Because it's the most simplistic answer to a large, complicated problem that could be given. And I believe the very essence of the definition of propaganda. And I'd also like to point out something that Thunderfoot had already pointed out. Yes, my subscribers, I'm actually acknowledging the existence of another YouTuber. Thunderfoot's exposure of you using a subscription service, which is very, very likely given the amount of evidence he carries out. Of course, no one can say 100%, but it's pretty obvious to me that you did. And I think that's very much in line with the conservative libertarian thought. If the market doesn't do what you want it to do, manipulate it. But then turn around and say it's not real capitalism. All of this predicated on the idea of the marketplace of ideas, that anyone's free to believe whatever it is they want to believe, that somehow popular opinion determines truth. Well, I hate to burst your little market bubble, but popular opinion doesn't determine truth. Something's either true or it's not true. If a lot of people believe in creationism, that doesn't make it true. The market of ideas is just another fraud, like the market itself. And while Thunderfoot actually did do a very good job of exposing all of that, There is something that he left out that I'm sure he just missed by accident. Because from what I've seen of his videos, he's a good guy. And that is this. When you use a subscription service to boost up your channel, you're committing an act of fraud. If you bother to read the agreement that you sign when you enter Google AdSense, or particularly, and more importantly, the one when you enter the partnership program, it says using such devices, such services, would be a violation of that contract. And in fact, given that you're paid per view and paid per comment and things like that, it's an act of fraud. And I think aside from the fact that you take money, I believe wholeheartedly, given what you do and the associations that you keep, that you take money from the Competitive Enterprise Institute, that you sell books on your channel, and you do whatever it is they tell you to, taking money almost directly from the Koch brothers themselves, and then you use a subscription service. It's highly, highly likely that you use a subscription service to commit fraud in order to advertise your channel and make money. Nothing could be more capitalist. Making money on fraudulent grounds, on unethical grounds. Sure, it's a real concern people have that YouTube remain a fair place. It's not using YouTube steroids or anything like that. But I could not think of any phrase better to describe what you do, the people you work for, the ideas you spread, and the way you built up your channel. Fraud.